And we have some more breaking news that is coming in here on Republic TV. Prime Minister has directed the withdrawal of press release from the Information and Broadcasting Ministry on fake news. It's the latest. The fake news order of the INB Ministry has been withdrawn. We have Abhishek Kapoor, our executive editor, now joining us for more. Abhishek, many would say rightly so.
Well, absolutely, Krishna. As we were discussing earlier also, there was a clear case of lack of oversight in the bureaucracy about the consequences of, even if it was a well-meaning intervention that was made in terms of containing fake news, because as it was being discussed, that it left out the real culprits, which happened to be the online platforms, so far as peddling of fake news goes, because in case of both print and television, at least there are n number of filters and the levels of scrutiny through which news goes. So there can be errors of judgment or mistakes, but not essentially peddling of fake news, which is essentially a digital phenomenon. And this change of guidelines essentially left that ecosystem out of its domain, and that is why it had caused so much of reaction, strong reaction in the journalistic community, to the extent that some meetings and rebuttals were planned. And now that Prime Minister has intervened and instructed that the guidelines be withdrawn and let the Press Council of India or the National Broadcasters Association handle these issues, it's clear that someone in the Ministry of Broadcasting, Information and Broadcasting obviously was not in tune with the sensitivities involved, and after instructions from the Prime Minister, the issue would be taken care of.
Right, and also the Prime Minister putting the onus on the Press Council of India to regulate fake news, or to eliminate fake news rather.
Well, yes, essentially what is being acknowledged is, Krishna, over the last 24 hours is that the menace of fake news is something that needs to be really tackled and taken head on. I think while the diagnosis was proper, the prognosis was not, in the sense that the actual problem of fake news is more on the online side, the digital side, and that was the ecosystem that was exactly left out of the changes in the guidelines. So it seemed on the face of it that it was targeted at the mainstream media, and that is why it had elicited such strong reaction from the journalistic community. And looking at the sensitivities involved, the fact that the Prime Minister himself intervened and has asked the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting to really withdraw the guidelines and to let it be determined how to tackle the fake news issue by journalist bodies like the Press Council of India or the National Broadcasters Association. It's clear that the government has taken note of the reactions that were coming in. And obviously, there was an element of politicization that we saw since morning, at least, with the opposition really making it an issue of press freedom, which in many ways it was. And now, hopefully, with the intervention of the Prime Minister's office, bureaucrats and the babus in the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting would be a little more careful about the consequences of their actions.
Right, and the intervention coming in at the right time from the Prime Minister's office before this issue gets blown out of proportion, and the government faces flack for this order from the INB Ministry. Abhishek Kapoor, our executive editor there, joining us for this latest breaking news on the fake news order from the Information and Broadcasting Ministry, which has now been withdrawn. Prime Minister's office directing the withdrawal of this latest move of the INB Ministry to crack down on journalists spreading fake news. That order from the Information and Broadcasting Ministry is now withdrawn with an intervention from the Prime Minister's office. And Prime Minister saying that the matter should only be addressed by the Press Council of India, essentially leaving it, asking the Information and Broadcasting Ministry to leave it to the PCI, Press Council of India, to deal with the problem of fake news. We have Abhishek Kapoor still with us, joining us for this big story that's breaking. Abhishek, it's a timely intervention before the government faces a lot of flack for this Information and Broadcasting Ministry order.
Well, naturally, the government was facing flack, and you know, at the end of the day, it remains an influential community and of journalists, and it was being seen as meddling in the affairs of press freedom. It was being seen as an attempt to really target mainstream media, Krishna, because, as I said, the interpretation was that all those journalists who are accredited would have another layer of scrutiny from the government side, while the ethos of press freedom warrant that all regulation should be self-regulation, and that whatever issues pertaining to quality of journalism should essentially be addressed by journalist body. And to that extent, Prime Minister's intervention really takes care of that.
Right, Abhishek Kapoor, Executive Editor, joining us. Now we have our Associate Editor Aditya Raj Kaul joining us live for more on this big story that we're tracking. Aditya, the government facing a lot of flack ever since that move, that release came in from the Information and Broadcasting Ministry, and now the Prime Minister and the Prime Minister's office is stepping in, doing some damage control before the debate gets bigger and the government invites more flack.
Well, absolutely. It's a debate that has triggered a controversy. There have been very sharp and radical opinions on both the sides. One, who want to perhaps bring under check the fake news. Second, of course, the freedom of the press under question. And that's why immediately after the move, and when we broke this news late last night about the move by the INB ministry to bring in this entire move, there were a lot of questions raised by the media. Of course, the print and the electronic media not very comfortable with the move and saying that, you know, the independence of the press is under question if such a move is really in place. But now, perhaps all sides should be welcoming the steps that the Prime Minister has now taken. The Prime Minister intervening in this entire matter, saying that the final decision should be independently taken by the Press Council of India and the media themselves. You know, the media can be, are the fourth pillar of the Constitution and should be, in fact, their own watchdogs. Media has a sense of responsibility, and perhaps media has been doing the same. We at Republic TV have been, you know, the biggest independent media in India, and we are proud to be so. So, you know, we perhaps do not need an external agency to keep us under check, and that was the kind of resentment that was being seen all across. Even the INB Minister Smriti Irani now tweeting, saying that she is ready to meet journalists, journalist bodies and others related to media who are who can bring in positive suggestions in this matter. But nonetheless, this has been a big controversy, but it's an important matter nonetheless, the entire issue of the fake news as well, because with the advent of the social media being used, with the click of a button, the news spreads faster. There are claims that news first breaks on Twitter and then perhaps comes on the traditional medium of digital print and TV. But certainly at this moment, this is a big controversy in regard to fake news, how to keep it under check. Should there be an independent media body, or should there be a government-monitored body to look into this? But Prime Minister Narendra Modi intervening in this matter, saying there shouldn't be any kind of a government intervention, but it should be the Independent Press Council of India looking into all these matters. But certainly a massive controversy being raised on this entire issue with the intervention of the INB minister. At this moment, the government doing damage control, taking a U-turn on this entire matter, but certainly sharp political reactions coming in, and also, in fact, the media players, the editors, the reporters all across the country are very interested in this debate because, of course, they do not want their freedom to be curtailed. They do not want the media freedom to be scuttled to this level across the country. And it's not just about a particular government, a particular political party, but certainly we are proud of independent media, all journalists should be, but certainly the entire matter of fake news and how to bring this under control is a massive debate still in India.
Right. Aditya, thank you so much for joining us for this big breaking news.
Congress today criticized Union Minister General V.K. Singh for his reported insensitive remark, comparing the demand for compensation to the families of 39 Indians killed in Iraq to demanding biscuits, and said it was heartless, shameful and reprehensible. The government said the accreditation of a journalist could be permanently cancelled if the scribe is found generating or propagating fake news, as it came out with stringent measures to contain the menace. Congress leader Ahmed Patel questioned the government's attempt to check fake news, asking whether it was aimed at preventing journalists from reporting news uncomfortable to the establishment. He also asked who will determine if a reported news item is fake and expressed apprehension that rules might be misused to harass reporters. Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister N. Chandrababu Naidu urged Prime Minister Modi to take all necessary steps for the protection of the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes people. Naidu made the statement in the wake of the amendment to the Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Tribe Protection Act by the Supreme Court. The NCP today launched the fourth phase of its Halla Bol attack in western Maharashtra, which is aimed at exposing the BJP-led NDA government's failures on various fronts. Speaking on the occasion, former Deputy Chief Minister and senior leader Ajit Pawar appealed to the party workers not to be complacent and directed them to start preparations for the 2019 Assembly and Lok Sabha elections. Puducherry Lieutenant Governor Kiran Bedi urged Prime Minister Narendra Modi to immediately act on the Kaveri issue. In a letter, Bedi urged the Prime Minister to direct the concerned Ministry of Government of India to constitute Kaveri Management Board and Kaveri Water Regulation Committee forthwith without further delay as per the Supreme Court order. Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal may be on an apology spree for the remarks he made against his political opponents to put an end to defamation suits, but a section of MLA's leaders in the party still strongly disapprove of his act. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath suspended the Siddharth Nagar Chief Medical Officer and 2 police officials during a visit to the district. The Chief Minister also expressed his displeasure over ineffective administration and scolded the district magistrate.